On today's show, we're in the ring with a superstar in the making, Gabriel Flores Jr.
The lowdown on some urban sports with Olympic aspirations.
Born to Ride, how technology is helping disabled athletes back on the slopes.
And the transformative tale of Austrian skier Erik Schinegger.
Gabriel Flores Jr. is Stockton's king. At just 19 years of age, the California teenager is already tipped to be boxing's next big thing. Competing in the lightweight division, as of November 2019, Flores Jr. has won 16 straight career fights, representing his city as he rises through the professional ranks. We met up with the boxing sensation in his hometown, where his last fight attracted crowds of over 10,000 people.
When I fought here in Stockton Arena on May 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, there was over 10,000 in attendance. 10,000 people, that's a lot. And for me being only 19 and getting that accomplished, I'm very grateful and thankful. But I think it's just all from representing my city, because they know that I've been representing them since I could remember, and they appreciate it. And they know how much I appreciate them. And they know when I fight in that ring, and when I go in there and when I win, they know it's a win for all of us. The first round I came out, throwing my jab, keeping my distance, seeing what he had. And I noticed from the first round I'm too fast for him. I ripped him to the body, I ripped him to the head. He was stumbling. I mean, the crowd was going wild. They're chanting 209, 209, Stockton, all that. I mean, the commentators couldn't believe it themselves at the moment. They really couldn't. So when he dabbed into me, he turned and looked at me, I leaped in with the left hook, and good night. It was out. It was over.
Jab has Gabe Flores.
He was out before he hit the canvas. Everybody went crazy. And I remember after knocking him out, I told myself, just breathe and enjoy the energy in this building for a little bit before anything. Just listen to him, you know, appreciate it. And I just hear him, I'm like, man, this is insane.
Gabriel trains at the G Squad boxing gym in Stockton with his manager and father, Gabriel Flores Sr.
My brother and my dad, they're the reason why I'm boxing. They used to train in the gym, in the garage. We made our own gym, and I used to be a little boy, about 4 years old, watch him. We had a treadmill, that's where I'll sit down and pay attention and watch him hit the mitts, shadow box, all that. So I'll watch, you know, go on long trips with them to LA to watch them go spar, and it's exciting for me. But one day we're in LA, I think, and I told my dad, I want to get in there. I want to spar. He's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So we went in there and I fought, and I was getting knocked around a little bit, but I was taking it and I was throwing back, and that's one thing my father liked about me. And then I was still 6 years old, and when we went back home, I told my pops, when I turned 7, can I start boxing? He was like, yeah, you can start boxing. And I was like, all right. everything we got from the beginning, we hustled for it. You know, we didn't get lucky. People say, oh, you lucky. Ooh, nah, I'm not lucky. I grind. I was in the gym at night, in the morning. You know, when you're sleeping at 4 a.m., I was running outside before high school, before elementary school, so there's no luck about that.
With all of this hard work came early recognition. At the age of just 16, Gabriel became the youngest boxer to sign professionally for Top Rank, the world's leading boxing promoter.
To write history in boxing book, to be the youngest ever, it was crazy. You know, I was grateful and I was blessed for the situation, but I knew there was gonna be a lot of expectations coming out of me signing that contract. And I knew that I had to do my job. And that's what I've been doing. I've been staying focused and make sure I get the job done, because it's not all, it's about winning, but it's about how you look when you win.
At home, the young boxer lives with his father, who has been a source of constant support and guidance throughout Gabriel's growing career.
Life with my father is great. You know, we get along well. We're like attached, we're super close. So, I mean, we do it all. You know, we go to the gym, we go to the movies, we take vacations. You know, we do it all, we have a great time. And nobody knows me like my father, so having my father as my trainer and manager, I feel like it's a big advantage to me. My pops would take the extra step for me. You know, he wants the best for me, so he's gonna do whatever it takes for us to go to the next level. If that means him getting in the kitchen and cooking, he will do it. You know, and my dad's a perfectionist. You know, whatever he does, he makes sure he does it the best he can. And so he could cook a good steak.
As Gabriel moves up the ranks, his father remains determined to keep him on the right path to success, both in and out of the ring.
It makes me feel proud. I'm very happy for him. You know, I'm very happy to see him enjoying his boxing, the fruits of his labor. But you know, I'm always thinking of the next and the next. I'm never satisfied, so I try to keep pushing him to the max.
Stockton regularly features on the Forbes list of the most dangerous places to live in America. Gun crime is a part of everyday life, while substance abuse remains one of the city's leading causes of death.
As a kid, like, I grew up right across the street from a crack house, a lot of gang violence. I mean, my dad worked long hours and he wasn't even home on the weekends because sometimes he worked out of town, so I kind of, you know, ran the streets. And then I got in trouble, you know, obviously like gang stuff, you know, shootings, fightings and stuff like that, so I was incarcerated a lot. But that helped me with my mindset I have today. I transferred a negative into a positive. So basically, like, everything that I've learned in there, like being structured to where you wake up in the morning to where you go to sleep at night, how you conduct yourself. So, I mean, it's a negative thing, gangs, but it's also, if you conduct it to positive, and it's a boxing that fits in perfect.
Unfortunately for Gabriel Flores Jr., it was this dangerous world of gangs that took from him the most important person in his young life.
Gang violence is real big out here. My mom attended a birthday party, and it happens the wrong people were there. So some people come by and they get some guns and they shoot it up, and then next thing you know, they hit my mom on accident. Next thing you know, within less than 24 hours, she passed away in the morning. It's a loss, something I had to deal with since I was a kid. But it was tough, but me and my family, my sister and brother, we got through it together. Keep her name alive, let her know I don't forget her, let her know I'm here, I'm standing, I'm talking, I'm living, I'm succeeding because of her. Let her know she's a big part of it, because to this day, she's still looking down. Everything right now I'm doing, as in this interview right now, she's watching. So just to let her know that I'm grateful and I'm thankful, and I'm still fighting for her and for me and for my brother and sister. You just have to think of it a certain way, when a situation happens, there's a whole bunch of ways to looking at a current situation. You just gotta look at it the right way, find a positive in it, even something this ugly, trying to find something positive. So I just tell myself I was grateful to have 12 years with her. I could have had 2, 4 years, I don't know. So I'm just grateful that I even had 12 years with my mother. So, you just gotta look at it different ways, and now I took the burden to take care of my twins. They're older than me, my brother and sister, but I feel like I was the one to step up and, take care of them.
After the turbulence of his early childhood, Gabriel Flores Jr. now acts as a role model for the Stockton community. A reminder that no matter where you come from, you can fight your way to the top.
The youth is the future, to show them that they got another way out, because a lot of kids from Stockton think they got a limit, but there's no limit. They can do whatever they want, and I'm here to show them that, as long as they follow their dreams and grind and stay working towards their dreams, they can make it. Look at me, I'm the same kid from Stockton, California, born and raised, there's no difference. So once they look at me, it gives them hope.
Last month, the Hungarian capital Budapest hosted the inaugural World Urban Games, a 3-day festival showcasing some of the world's most popular urban sports. Around 50,000 fans attended the event to get a closer look at a few events that will make an appearance at next year's Olympic Games. In BMX freestyle, riders have 60 seconds to impress with a series of tricks judged on difficulty, originality and style. In Hungary, the women's final was a battle between American #1 Hannah Roberts and Japan's Minato Oiki. 18-year-old Hannah, the 2019 world champion, put down a first run that scored a massive 93 points. Despite Minato's best efforts, she had to settle for silver behind the American, who was doing her best to push the boundaries of the women's event, even performing a double tail whip in the final.
I put in a lot of work like the last 8 months, just trying to learn new tricks and trying to push the sport as a whole on my side. And I got it really good before I came here, and I wanted to do it in my final run and the actual run itself, but my bike didn't show up, so when it did show up, I was like, yeah, it's here, I'm feeling it, and just thought it would be fun to send, so it was.
22-year-old Minato will hope to reverse that result next year when BMX freestyle makes its Olympic debut in Tokyo.
I am really glad that the Olympics will be held in Tokyo. I was born in Japan, and I'm really glad that my first BMX appearance at the Olympics will be in Tokyo. It is the greatest goal I have right now. I just want to give it my best.
It's definitely making the women's side grow, more competitors and them pushing each other, so the level's rising, and it was a really good test event to see kind of where the girls stack up, heading into the Olympics. We only got a year.
Another new addition to the Olympic programme is 3x3 basketball. Played on half the basketball court with only one hoop, teams of 3 go head-to-head, each trying to be the first to reach 21 points. Russia and France claim the titles at the Urban Games event, and they'll be hoping to repeat that feat in Tokyo and take home the first ever 3x3 gold medals. Welcome to the world of breaking.
It's competition, it's a sport, but it looks like a hip-hop, It's kind of party, MC, DJ, and then crowd dances.
Legendary breakdancer B-Boy Katsu was one of the 3 judges for the battle event at the Urban Games and was keen to show that breaking is more than just a sport.
Please don't see just the competition side. I hope the public people can see whole atmosphere of this jam.
The breaking battles are head-to-head, best of 4 dance-offs, with the winner progressing to the next round. The women's final was between Japanese B-girl Amy and B-girl Sunny from the USA. And after a hotly contested battle, it was 20-year-old Amy who triumphed.
I'm proud of I can get gold medal. Before I come in, I knew there are so many great big girls because top 16 already every battle I feel finals.
Breaking is on the provisional list of sports to be introduced for the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris.
Before I hear breaking is gonna be Olympics, I thought breaking is not sports, breaking is art. But now I feel it's good chance to let so many people know what is breaking.
In the men's final, pre-tournament favourite B-boy Menno from Holland took on American B-boy Victor. And it was the 25-year-old from Florida who emerged victorious.
Today I felt really good. I was ready. I just gave it my all. Each opponent I went against, I was going for their head. I was like, all right, this guy's in my way, I'm gonna take him out. This guy's in my way, I'm gonna take him out. So the whole night I was really confident. Yeah, this event is really good for the b-boy community. We never really had an event that's given out 20K for first place, 10K for second place. So it's a really good opportunity for us, and we can make a career out of this, and it's an amazing feeling. I can probably buy my mom a house.
A live music festival brought the 3-day event to a close as the organisers reflected on a successful first edition of the World Urban Games.
It's fantastic. We had a 3 very successful days in every meeting. We had very successful competitions. Meanwhile, we had a great festival, music culture festival, with tons of people. So we are super happy and super exhausted.
And Olympic sport is the subject of this week's question. Next July, the world's greatest athletes will travel to Tokyo as the Japanese capital hosts the Summer Olympics for the 2nd time. The 2020 edition will see the introduction of a host of new Olympic sports with the aim of adding more youth culture to the Games. Skateboarding is set to make its Olympic debut in Tokyo, with the event showcasing 2 disciplines, street and park. Climbing will also make its first appearance at an Olympics. Athletes will compete in a combined event that includes the disciplines of speed, lead and bouldering. Surfing is another new addition, with the ocean some 40 miles outside of Tokyo set to host the inaugural Olympic event. One of the sports successfully reintroduced to the Olympic programme in 2016 was golf. And for this week's question, we'd like to know which golfer won the men's gold medal in Rio. We'll bring you the answer later in the show.
Growing up in Southern California, I was always around extreme sports. Motocross was just kind of like a religion for me. I lived and breathed racing, and I was racing at a national at Freestone County Raceway on November 18, 2006, and I went over the finish line jump and I got landed on by another rider. I was knocked out for a few minutes, and I woke up and realized that I couldn't move my right arm, which was my dominant arm at the time, and I ended up getting paralyzed with a brachial plexus injury. And then about a few months after, me and my dad got hit by a drunk driver, and we flipped 4 times in our truck. And everything I was starting to gain back, like my bicep muscle and a few nerve endings, I instantly lost.
A devastating series of events left Kiana Clay with a paralyzed right arm. However, she was determined to follow her passion for racing and competitive sport, and she's now doing that in the world of adaptive snowboarding.
I fell in love with snowboarding when I first started, when I was 4 years old. I've been surfing and skateboarding and everything my entire life, and I really loved the feel of snowboarding. Being able to carve on a mountain and embrace the different type of elements that were around me, because I'm like, I can enjoy dirt with my dirt bike, water with my surfboard, concrete with my skateboard, and now snow with a snowboard. So whenever you're a little adrenaline junkie that just wants to go fast, I definitely fell in love with it instantly whenever I went down the mountain. Kind of like every day when I go onto the mountain, I always have at least one lifty that looks at me and they're like, oh, that's so sick, like nothing's stopping you, like you're riding with one arm. And I explain to them like, yeah, it's paralyzed. And like, oh, you're paralyzed. Okay, that's a little different. That's still super sick that you're out here, like that's incredible, because I'd probably be at home like just chilling on the couch and not snowboarding, like I wouldn't want to risk getting hurt. And I always tell people the same thing, you know, I'd rather go out and live my life than sit and think about all the things that I can't do. So I'm gonna figure out a way to do what I love, and that's definitely every adaptive athlete's mentality. So with snowboarding, when I decided to start riding again 2 seasons ago, I figured out that trying to get my balance is incredibly difficult because I don't have my back arm to kind of keep me stable on the board. And so trying to stay stacked in the position that I'm supposed to be in, the athletic position, is really difficult because I don't know if I'm having too much weight forward or too much weight back. I usually figure out once I cross edge and I fall and I'm like, okay, I was doing this wrong. But during the time, it's really hard for me to figure out where my balance is, and then especially on jumps, whenever I'm jumping, whenever I'm trying, like if I lose my balance and I roll down the windows, it actually messes me up more. So there are pros and cons, but balance is definitely a struggle for sure.
Hoping to make Kiara's life on the slopes a little easier, snowboard company Burton have teamed up with engineer Chris Doyle to create a groundbreaking invention in the world of adaptive snowboarding, the step-on binding. This allows athletes to simply step onto the board without the difficulty of attaching traditional straps.
Burton has become involved with adaptive athletes ever since I started there 23 years ago, when the 800 number would ring with an athlete or a rider that maybe had a different ability or a disability, and they always ended up coming to me to help them out. When we started developing Step-On, that became very clear to me right away that Step-On was going to be a real game changer for athletes of different ability levels, and so I started focusing on that. And as I started to focus on that, I became more aware of the prosthetics that athletes were using, and I started to contact the makers of those prosthetics, tell them what my intents and interests were, and working with them more directly. The idea is to try to make snowboarding more fun, easier, and inclusive for all riders that want to ride.
One of those riders is gold medal winning Paralympian Mike Schultz. The American, who lost his leg in a snowmobile accident, has been involved in the process of making the perfect step-on binding for adaptive snowboarding athletes.
Lined up with Burton about 2 years ago. He reached out to me through some other snowboarders that I'm great friends with. Yeah, Doyle reached out to me and said that he was really intrigued and interested in helping out the adaptive snowboarding world, and said he had this great new binding coming out, the step-on binding, and he explained what it was all about, and I'm like, heck yeah, this sounds pretty awesome. Not having to worry about straps, just stomping into them. And so then that kind of got the ball rolling with a project with the University of Vermont students about what could we do to further specialize adaptive equipment for snowboarding, just to make it even that much better and more accessible. And so we've got some cool things in the works.
Everything that these riders do is hard, everything. And so what we're trying to do is identify the things that are the most difficult. Using straps, putting your boots on, closing your boots, and making all of that easier. Other things that we're working on are coats are really hard to do with one hand. Getting your helmet done, goggles. So there's so many different ways that we could help out that we maybe not have thought about so much in the past, but now it's really fantastic to think about these things and focus on them for this whole group of riders that I personally believe are underserved.
It's funny because like whenever I'm training with my team and I have to buckle in my bindings, I'm always having to reach over with one hand, and they're both doing it, like all my teammates do it with both hands, and they do it real fast, and they usually have to wait for me. And so the first day they got the step-on bindings, we got to the top of the lift, and I just stepped in and clipped on. I looked at them, I was like, damn guys, you guys are slow, like what's taking so long?
I really enjoy seeing the excitement that everybody has that's working on the project, and the best part is like this, we get to go out and test it and go ride, and eventually hopefully we come up with a really good system that helps a lot of people out shred even that much harder.
If there's like a roadblock in your way, get creative and find a way around that roadblock. Like for me, one of my roadblocks was, how am I going to put my hair up with a ponytail? Because I work out a lot. So I had to get creative, and I figured out how to do that with a doorknob. And Xbox, I play it with my feet. You know, have that be a fire for you, and just kind of look at that in every aspect, even if it's not sports. So just really getting creative and not letting any barriers get in the way.
With its iconic white cliffside villages and stunning sunsets, the Greek island of Santorini is renowned for being a picturesque holiday destination. When it comes to sport, the island is home to what's been called the most beautiful athletics event in the world.
Santorini experience was created in order to show to people another view of Santorini. It's not only the amazing view, the sunset, we have other things that are amazing in Santorini that people should experience. And this is the running, the trail running in Caldera, and then open water swimming from the volcano to the island. So we have trail running, 5 kilometers, 10 and 15. We can say that 15 kilometers is like a half marathon because of how hard is the trail running. We're running from here, the one side of the island, to the center of the island, which is Fira. We want to have the experience more for the runners, enjoy the view, enjoy the running, and enjoy really a really nice route when you have the sea, the Santorini view, and of course the view of the volcano while you're running.
It's beautiful. It's an excellent trail along the coastline. I think it's one of the most pretty trail running courses on an island in the world. You have a trail race on the first day and a swimming race on the second day with us two different events. That is something unusual, and it is something special, and it really attracts me that I can follow two different disciplines this weekend.
The race doesn't just appeal to amateur runners though, with a number of current and former professional athletes joining in. Among the professionals taking part in this year's edition was retired Olympic hurdler Periklis Yakuvakis.
Running in this kind of island, with the volcano next to you, with all this beauty in the path, in the trail, it's something unique. I really loved it. I'm not here for competition to win something. I have nothing to do with winning since 5 years ago that I stopped running professionally. So this is just for fun. This is running for fun. This is a very nice weekend for me and my wife, so I always like to be here. It's something really nice. You have to try this. Every year, more people are involved. You can see that something is changing here with the local community, that they wanted to grow up much more. So I'm sure that next year we will be here again with even bigger, with more people running. And this is really nice. This is really good for the island.
In between the running and swimming events, participants had time to enjoy some of the other benefits of the Santorini experience. Olympic swimmers Yasunari Hirari of Japan and Greece's Spiros Gianniotis were ambassadors for this year's event.
Swim from the volcano to Santorini, it's something that it's on your bucket list. It was on my bucket list the first time, but when you swim, it's this unique feeling that if you lift your head and you can see the whole caldera, it's a beautiful way of seeing things, not only from a boat or from the top of the caldera of Santorini, swimming it.
I have really good friendship with the Spiros Gianniotis. I sent a text to him and I want to swim for Santorini experience, and he said, of course. I'm still swimming for 2020, absolutely. I think Tokyo 2020 is my last Olympic because I'm 29 years old. So I came 8th place in Rio 2016, so I have to keep hard training, thinking about Tokyo 2020 every day, all day, 24/7. Then, yeah, home Olympic, very excited.
The swimming is amazing. We are in Greece. Greece is water, which is sea, which is very nice beaches, and you can swim. But here we have something different. Here we have an island with an amazing view to the volcano. Some people call that was the Lost Atlantis, a couple of years ago, between the volcano and the island. So we have a unique experience. Nobody can swim in this area during the whole year except during Santorini experience. So people can go down in the sea from the volcano, swim until the island, and have this amazing view while they're swimming.
My career as an athlete is stopped, so I want to enjoy nice scene with nice sports events. So this is one sport event that I really like. It's something that, it's totally different than doing sport on a high level and having pressure and being always in, want to win or want to go even better. It's an event that you just want to swim in.
Was a pretty tough race, and because I swam with one of the strong Greek swimmer, then but I used my special tactics, save the energy. Then I was thinking about when I attack, like a Tour de France. Yeah, finally I did it.
I stopped a few times, had a nice sightseeing, and then continued swimming. And everybody's happy, I'm happy, and I think it's an event that that's what it tries to come out, give to people. Sport, it makes you, of course, it's for your health, and happy faces.
It's going on for 5 years. We want to see it for the next 50, if possible. And having people for more than 50 countries, people from Philippines like today, or New Zealand, or Australia, and of course from the whole Europe, American people, people from Canada, makes us very proud.
Now it's time for the answer to this week's sporting question. Earlier in the show, we asked you which golfer won the men's gold medal at the 2016 Rio Olympics. The answer is Justin Rose. The British golfer made history in Brazil, becoming the first person to get a hole-in-one at an Olympic Games, as well as being crowned golf's first Olympic champion in 112 years.
I went into it with the expectation of just becoming an Olympian, supporting golf's return to the Olympics, treating it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I think going down to Rio, nobody knew what to expect. I think once we got down there, all the negativity that had preceded it kind of faded away, and then everyone was so surprised at how successful golf was in the Olympics.
With the world's best golfers now all wanting to add Olympic gold to their resumes, Rose will have a tougher task defending his title in Tokyo next year.
If you look at photos of me from various stages of my life, you do notice that I had a more robust body than the other girls. But in my head, I was a girl. I felt like a girl. I'd spent my first 18 years feeling that way. I certainly didn't think that there was a man laying dormant inside me. I couldn't talk about this subject to anyone. I was alone. And that's why I took refuge in sport. The most important thing to me was to carry on skiing.
This is Erik Schinegger, a husband, father, and successful businessman. Yet, for the first 19 years of his life, Schinegger believed he was a girl. Born on the 19th of June 1948, Erika, as he was then known, had grown up knowing he'd always felt different. He much preferred to ride a tractor around on the family farm than play with the dolls his mother had bought for him. He didn't quite fit the stereotype of how a little girl should behave.
I was so convinced that I was a girl, because what ultimately shapes a person is their upbringing and their environment. I was told from my birth that I was Erika. My time at school and through adolescence was quite bad. I wasn't one thing or another. To the girls, I was too active, too much of a tomboy. To the boys, I was a girl, and they didn't want to hang around with me. For me, it wasn't a fun time.
When Erika hit adolescence, she didn't develop like her peers. She'd never had a menstrual cycle and believed she was a lesbian because of her stronger feelings towards girls. Feeling segregated from other children, Erika threw herself into skiing, achieving considerable success. In 1966, an 18-year-old Erika became the women's downhill world champion. She was revered back home in Austria and tipped for gold at the 1968 Winter Olympics.
For me, it was the ultimate, the best thing. In skiing, I was number one in slalom, number one in downhill skiing, number one in giant slalom, number one in everything. In training, I was up to 5 seconds faster than anyone else. I was very successful in the sport. It was through skiing that I felt love. I was elevated, and I really did benefit from that.
Buoyed by her performance at the Worlds, Erika was confident of winning titles at the 1968 Winter Olympics. The International Olympic Committee had introduced drug and gender testing for those games, so Erika had to undergo a series of medical checks. It was after these tests that she discovered that, contrary to what she'd been led to believe for 19 years, she was not female. Schinegger was in fact chromosomally a man, but had been wrongly identified as a girl at birth due to the absence of any external male organs.
At that moment in time, I was heading towards the biggest goal in my career. And then they said to me, "Erika, I'm afraid you cannot participate." It felt like the end of the world for me. What am I then? I said. If I'm not a girl, what am I? They told me that I had male chromosomes. They said that everything about me was predominantly male. The only difference with me was that my genitals were inside my body, in my stomach. At that point in my life, it was very difficult to hear that. It was a really upsetting subject, and it's still very bad to this day. It's completely taboo. Man to woman, woman to man. People think, what is this? Nobody can comprehend it.
The then 19-year-old was given two options. She could undergo a sex change operation, take hormones throughout her life, and carry on living as a woman, or she could have gender rectification surgery to externalise her male organs and start a new life as a man. She decided on the latter. Erika became Erik.
I was in the clinic for 6 months, and during that time, I had to try and get my head around it. I had to learn how to behave once I was back in the outside world, but it was extremely tough. Many people say that if someone dies, it initially takes over your life, but after talking about it for a fortnight, you move on. In the clinic, I was told people will talk about my gender for 3 weeks, and then never mention it again. Well, it's been over 50 years for me now, and many people still talk about my life.
After coming out of hospital, Erik attempted to return to skiing, but despite outperforming many of Austria's best male skiers, he was omitted from the national team, allegedly due to media unrest.
The Austrian Ski Association didn't want me anymore, and these results are proof. First, Erik Schinegger. Fifth, Franz Klammer. He was the world and Olympic champion. That is why they didn't continue to support me as a man, because they were aware that I could still make headlines, and they were worried about their reputation. For them, I was unwanted news. It was far easier if I was out of the way. So they basically said, right, Schinegger can no longer compete. That was heartbreaking for me, because I loved the sport so much. Skiing was my life, and I knew I definitely had what it took to become a world champion as a man, as Erik Schinegger.
Ostracised from the national squad, Erik retired from skiing aged 22. He tried to establish his new male identity in other ways.
In these two photos, I started to feel comfortable in myself. I was dressed in a suit. I was a man. I really grew in confidence. Before, I used to only feel comfortable wearing sports gear. In casual clothes, I'd feel somehow less of a person. I didn't have the figure that many of my peers had. I wasn't anything like them. I wasn't beautiful. I didn't have breasts. But here, that was the first time that I felt secure as myself, and I behaved differently than I had before. Now this is my daughter, the best thing I have created in this world. I conceived a daughter naturally as Erik Schinegger, and that for me was just the greatest thing. I felt validated as a real man. I was a proper man. And from that moment onwards, nothing could hurt me. If people were saying, is that actually a man? I didn't care. I knew I was a man. That is my daughter. My daughter. And this is what I needed to begin with, a Porsche. You see, it was a status symbol to show that I was a man. I had many insecurities, but with the Porsche, it made me feel strong. It was like having crutches to get about with in my new life as Erik. That was my Porsche, the best crutches ever.
Although Erik's car served as his metaphorical crutches at first, he was determined to get ski poles back in his hands. Growing up, skiing had been his outlet from the scathing comments of other children and the sense of isolation he often felt. As a man, Erik was hoping the sport would fulfill a similar purpose. In 1975, he opened the Erik Schinegger Ski School in Carinthia, southern Austria, providing skiing lessons for children aged 3 to 10 years old. Erik now manages the whole facility, but he's still keen to get out on the slopes to impart his knowledge to the 3,000 plus children that come through here each year.
I want to pass on my joy for the sport to the children I teach, so that they adopt my love for skiing themselves. I've already helped quite a few children over the years. Some have even gone on to win medals at the Olympic Games and the World Championship. Those cases are the exceptions, though. We want to reach the masses and get lots of children enjoying the sport. That's the nicest part for me.
Erik celebrated his 71st birthday earlier this year, but his love for skiing is unwavering. To some, Erik's life story is still a taboo subject. To others, it's a source of inspiration and something that should be spoken about openly. Erik himself no longer feels the need to explain who he is or who he was. Instead of investing his time in defining himself, he's putting his energy into the next generation, in the hope that they will fulfill the dreams taken from him.
I'm enjoying my life to the full, and I have to say, that's because of the children. You've seen it for yourself. Their little eyes shining on the slopes. Children are not prejudging either. Children can be inspired, regardless of your background. And that's what I'm trying to do. Also, when you get older, you begin to carry something childlike within your own heart. A longing for youth, I guess. If you embrace it, you will not age. You'll stay young and agile. And that's what I've learned through the sport and through my school. And that's why I'm so grateful to skiing. Through it, I've been able to live my life with a little perseverance. I can now go out into the world and say, without any shame at all, look, this is me. I'm not afraid.
Hab keine Angst. Gell?